Good evening, everyone. Let me welcome you to the Burke County Board of Commissioners regular meeting for Tuesday, October the 15th, 2019. This time I will call us to order. Madam Clerk, I will do the roll call, and we do have a quorum present, but we do have two commissioners that could not be here tonight. Vice Chair Mulwee and Commissioner Britton will not be here, but that does leave three of us, and that does leave us with a quorum. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please take out your phones and other devices that you may have with you. Please turn those on silent and vibrate for me. And when you present tonight, if you come to the podium or the table, if you will mash the button to the right and make sure the red light on top of that speaker comes on, we would appreciate that. I want to take just a moment to remember a very dear friend of this board and a very dear friend of most of us on this board, Elizabeth Cooper, our former Register of Deeds who passed away. Please remember the family as they go through this time of sadness. Libby was a fine lady. I knew her and her husband. Her husband, back in the day when they had the Valdez Theater, back when I was a young teenager, taught me how to run projectors at the theater in Valdez. That's how far I go back with that family. And help coach the kids at football at school. Just a fine family. So please remember that family. So at this time, we'll move into our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, to do our invocation from the Morton Church of Christ, we have Jeff Lovett. And to do our Pledge of Allegiance, we will have our folks from a lot of kids, I think, here today, and children from Hillbrand Elementary School, where Randy Sane is principal. So after Jeff does the prayer, if y'all can just come forward to do the pledge. So if you would rise with me as Jeff comes forward.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we come before your throne tonight, thankful that you, the God of the universe, the God of all men, have in Jesus Christ bowed yourself down to us, that though you are the God of all and the God of all that is, that you have become the God of each heart that will let you reign. And we're thankful, Father, that we live in this community which, unlike so many in our country today, have blocked you from the public discourse, is filled with people who fear you and seek your guidance. And it is for your guidance, Father, that we pray in this meeting that you will be the silent, perhaps the invisible commissioner over all commissioners, but also the one who sits in the seats with those of us who have questions and concerns. Please be with us in this meeting, Father, and I pray, Father, that your blessings will be upon it. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Fantastic. If you'll wait down there just a minute, we're going to come down and take a picture with you, okay? Thank Okay, gentlemen, at this time I'll move to the agenda. There has been some additions to the agenda, and I think you've had enough time probably to take a look at those. So I will entertain a motion to approve. All right, you've heard that motion from Wayne. All in favor signify by raising of the right hand. Madam Clerk, that will be 3-0. Thank you so much. In front of you also, we have minutes for May 30, 2019 for the recess meeting. If there's any additions or deletions, please let me know at this time. If not, we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the minutes and found them to be in order, so I'll make the motion that we approve the meeting minutes of May 30th, the recess meeting.
All right, we have Commissioner Taylor's motion. All in favor signify by raising the right hand. Madam Clerk, that will be 3-0. Thank you, sir. Moving on to presentations, our first presentation will be our ASD Pet of the Month. That will be presented by Caitlin Settlemeyer, our Animal Services Service Center Director. So bring that big doggy up here and let's get introduced.
Okay, so tonight, or this month, our Pet of the Month is going to be Mr. Bo. Bo is short for Bo-Berry Biscuit. If you can't tell, he's got a little extra to love on him, but that's okay. So we are working on a diet with Bo, but he is an exceptional dog. He absolutely loves everybody. He has never met a stranger. He loves all other dogs, all other cats. The only thing that's keeping him from kind of not getting adopted is, he doesn't stand out. We have a lot of black dogs, we have a lot of pitty mixes, but he is absolutely wonderful. If you're looking for somebody who's a little more laid back, he's not really looking for a super active lifestyle. He needs to be a little more active, but he's going to be your couch potato. He doesn't realize he's an 80-pound dog. He thinks he's about 15 pounds and wants to crawl up in your lap. So he is our Pet of the Month. Our last Pet of the Month, Caesar, I don't know if anybody had heard, he actually went on to the Canines for Warriors program, so he is being trained to be a service dog for a veteran, and we just got word that he is still in the program and still doing well, so everybody keep Caesar in mind, but we need to network and find Mr. Bo a good loving home, so that's him.
Thank you, Caitlin. Any comments from the commissioners? Any questions for Bo? Anybody out in the audience want to go ahead and take him home tonight? Oh, we're going to be out of hand raised. All right, talk to her before we go. Thank you so much, Caitlin. All right, moving on to our item number 2 in the presentations is our Springs of Hope proclamation declaring November 2019 as National Veterans and Families Month, and that will be presented by Jason Webb, co-founder of Springs of Hope. Jason, and come forth and introduce your friends if you would.
Yes, sir.
Hit your red button on your mic there. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you first, Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the board, for allowing us this opportunity to come tonight and to share and present what Springs of Hope is. I'm Jason Webb, CEO and co-founder of Springs of Hope. To my right is Mr. Shane Fulp. He's the COO and also a co-founder of Springs of Hope and a former PSO here for the city of Morganton. To my left is Mr. David Cheney, and he is the director of our civil and international ministries. So with that being said, here's the proclamation, gentlemen and lady. Springs of Hope has developed a proclamation declaring November 2019 Veterans and Military's Family Month. Whereas veterans and their families are an integral, valued element of our community, and whereas providing resources and support to said veterans and military families is a national imperative, and whereas preventing and overcoming trauma incurred by veterans and their families is essential to achieving healthy lifestyles, both physically and emotionally, and whereas post-traumatic stress disorder, known as PTSD, is a condition that greatly impacts veterans and their families on multiple levels, whereas we must encourage relatives and friends of veterans with PTSD to implement intervention measures, recognize the signs of a problem, and guide those in need to appropriate treatment and recovery support services. Whereas, according to the Veterans Administration, 30% of Vietnam veterans, 12% of Desert Storm veterans, and 20% of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom have been diagnosed with PTSD at some point in their lifetime. And whereas, according to the Veterans Administration, 22 veterans commit suicide every day. This is the equivalent of September 11th occurring every 4.5 months. Whereas to help more veterans and their families address and cope with PTSD and the resulting lifelong impact, Springs of Hope US invites Burke County residents to reach out to their military friends and relatives in need of recognition of National Veterans and Military Families Month. Now, therefore, the Burke County Board of Commissioners, I'm sorry, that's your line. I apologize, sir. I got carried away. So,
You're doing well.
with that said, sir, we reach out to veterans, one life at a time, and we offer services that will help them reduce the impact of PTSD in their life and in their families' lives. What we do is we work to be able to restore families, restore marriages, and save lives through Springs of Hope US.
Either one of y'all want to say anything?
It's an honor to be here and to be able to present this proclamation. We thank Burke County Board of Commissioners for having us here and this opportunity to be able to work in our community. We worked hard to get to the point we're at now with our veterans and with our, we call them public safety family, police, fire, EMS, nurses here in our community, struggling with the same things. We just enjoy this opportunity and thank you again for allowing us to be here.
Thank you. Sir?
We want to appreciate you for giving us an opportunity to be here and just to be a part and parcel of what Springs of Hope US is getting involved with, as we are here to restore families and marriages and to see what Springs of Hope is all about. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, any comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say appreciate the veterans from all the wars, but without those veterans and without those victories, there'd be no free America. So, we really appreciate the price they paid and are continuing to pay for serving us in that position.
Yes, sir.
Also, as a Vietnam-era veteran myself, I do appreciate everything that you have said in here. I unfortunately have lost numerous friends that I went into the Army with when I left here from down the street at Burke Dairies on the bus to go to Charlotte for my indoctrination in Charlotte, or induction in Charlotte, and indoctrination, both. But I served with a lot of good fellows that came back from Vietnam that were eventually Agent Orange took them away from us. And so,
Yes, sir.
and then PTSD, I just can't even begin to imagine that with the service. It's kind of ironic, over the weekend I was at a North Carolina Association of County Commissioners meeting in Wilmington, and we were able to go on the USS North Carolina and have our meal on that ship.
Oh, wow.
And I just walk around that and began to try to think of what happened on that ship during the war,
Sir.
And I thought of my father as he landed in Africa and made his way through Africa and Italy on up into Germany during World War II. So I do appreciate what you are doing and what you will continue to do, and we'll be happy as Burke County Board of Commissioners to proclaim November 2019 as National Veterans. Gentlemen, I will need a motion for that. All in favor signify by raising the right hand. Madam Clerk, that will be 3-0. Thank you, gentlemen, so very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I think it'd be nice to allow our audience to give a nice round of applause for that.
You may do that, sir. Moving on, we do not have any scheduled public hearings for tonight, which is unusual, but we don't. Moving on, info public comments. Madam Clerk, did anybody sign up?
Mr. Chairman, we have one speaker tonight, Miss Megan Roper.
Ms. Roper?
Good evening. My name is Megan Roper. My address is 1190 Misty Morn Drive in Lenore. I'm one of 3 DSS staff attorneys and the only one who handles child support and adult protective services cases for DSS. When I first applied for this job in 2017, it was for the position of a child welfare attorney. During that interview process, the child support attorney also put in her notice. Elise Putnam was awarded the position we both applied for, and I relocated and accepted the child support attorney position. Since that time, the DSS legal workload has grown, and there is another attorney on staff. However, I am still the only attorney who handles child support and adult protective services cases for DSS. Upon my arrival, I was faced with legal hurdles centering around decisions being made by both the North Carolina Court of Appeals and the North Carolina Supreme Court. I worked with the county and the child support agents to remedy those issues, allowing the agency to set more cases on for court. I've worked with the agents to meet internal goals set by DSS and to work toward the goals set by the state. At the 2018 North Carolina Child Support Conference, Burke County Child Support was awarded Outstanding Achievement in Overall Improvement of Self-Assessment Measures. The agents took great pride in receiving that score and worked diligently to continue making such improvements. While the agency did not receive any awards at the 2019 conference, the numbers have continued to rise. There has been some employee turnover since my arrival, but the agents have all taken this in stride and have done their best to not let it affect the work that they do. I have seen 2 staff members retire since I began, and caseload shuffle along with that process. There has been a change in leadership, which has actually resulted in a great benefit to the child support unit. The current supervisor has advocated for more training, has spent one-on-one time with the agents when needed, and built an atmosphere where agents feel more comfortable working as a cohesive team. But most importantly, the team has not been fully staffed since April of 2019, in part due to the possibility of privatizing. The agents continue picking up the pieces as more and more staff leave the county or this agency out of fear of losing their time with the county. This includes each remaining agent spending 1 to 2 hours each workday to cover the front desk and answer incoming calls on the switchboard. Not only have the agents worked tirelessly to accomplish their goals, but they managed to do so with smiles on their faces despite real struggles at work and home. We have dealt with injury, personal illness, illness within our families, the birth of grandchildren, and more. There are some agents who cannot be here tonight because of obligations that they have to their children or to their own health. Please do not mistake them for not being invested in what happens here tonight. Most of us work for the county for the stability of employment and the benefits that coincide with government employment. Many have devoted their entire careers to these specific positions and had very serious plans to retire from Burke County. However, some are now faced with a very real possibility of severe pay cuts to continue working for the county or for lost benefits if they choose to go to the private company. This is not a decision that anyone thought they would face when accepting a position with Burke County. While I understand that the DSS board has made the decision to privatize, I'm asking the members of this board to weigh the vote very carefully and make sure that this is the right decision for the county before making a decision that will have very real consequences to the agents that have stuck with the county while the options were being weighed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roper.
That's all the cards I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This time we'll move forward to the consent agenda. This time I'll recognize County Manager, Mr. Kenneth Steen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. You have a few items on your list tonight, approximately 8. First is Animal Services, approval of new fee schedule. Item 2, Burke County Public Schools, school construction change order numbers 14 and 15. Board of Commissioners resolution in support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Item 4, clerk appointments to JCPC and Planning Board. Item 5, County Manager resolution authorizing lease amendment of real property. Item 6, Tax Department tax collection report for September 2019. Item 7, Tax Department release refund report for September 2019. And the final item, number 8, tax resolution rescinding motor vehicle valuation review committee. That concludes your consent agenda.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard Brian's report. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
All right, you've heard Wayne's motion. All in favor signify by raising the right hand. Thank you so very much. Point of personal privilege, I do want to again recognize that this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I am proud to report that after 10 years, my wife will be able to come off her medication and not have to deal with that agony anymore of the side effects of that medication. Also, I want to remember my sister-in-law, as I've reported before, who passed away with breast cancer, Brenda's sister, Nancy. Also, I just found out Brother David Doster, who is pastor of Gateway Bible Baptist behind my house, his wife is diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. So it touches every family around, so let's please remember those folks. All right, moving into item number 10 is our items for decision. The first item for decision is a request for proposals for outsourcing of child support, presented by Kathy Craig, who is our Department of Social Services Interim Director. Kathy?
Good evening, gentlemen, Madam Clerk. This agenda item is regarding the request for proposals for the outsourcing of child support. As was presented at the pre-agenda meeting, a staffing study which was completed in April of 2019 for the department suggested exploring the outsourcing of child support. A request for proposals was published on the county website in August. Responses were due September 6, 2019. 4 proposals were received. The proposals were reviewed and ranked by a team consisting of myself, the interim DSS director, Amanda Grady, who is our Economic Services Program Administrator, and Margaret Pierce, who is our Deputy County Manager, County Finance Director. The scoring sheet and proposals were provided to you in your agenda packet. Those same scoring sheets and proposals were provided to the Burke County DSS Board in their agenda packet for our October 15th meeting. The board met this morning and had deliberations and discussion about those proposals and the information provided to them. Based on reviewing that information, considering budgetary impact, I made a recommendation to our DSS board that they recommend to you to move forward with the outsourcing of child support. The proposal of the top-ranked bidder, which was Veritas HHS, indicates that contracting child support program should achieve better outcomes for the citizens of Burke County in the most cost-effective way. Burke County, although there has been recent improvement, has not met the goals or required performance measures in the child support program in many years. With North Carolina DHHS approval, multiple counties throughout the state have outsourced the child support program successfully. Veritas has a proven record of improving outcomes for counties in which they contract. Veritas has a very successful child support program in Buncombe County. Due to the proximity of our 2 counties, the Buncombe County program will be a resource for Burke County operations. Veritas has executive staff with 50-plus years of experience specifically in child support. The Veritas proposal, it also includes a specific strategy to enhance services to non-custodial parents. Those parents who are willing but unable to pay child support, the services would include assisting those parents with finding employment, assisting non-custodial parents with acquiring low-cost insurance through the federal marketplace, and making referrals for those parents for complementary services. Burke County DSS is currently unable to provide those services to non-custodial parents. The current average yearly expense for Burke County child support is approximately $680,000. The position study completed in April also recommended that if we did not outsource the program, we would need 2 additional positions, which would increase the county cost or the cost of the program by $100,000 annually. That annual cost is reimbursable at 66%. The fixed price for the Veritas proposal in the first year is $786,848. The second year is $709,786. And the third year, $722,203. The initial year of the contract may require an approval of fund balance appropriation to cover any shortage. The amount needed would be no more then $35,000 based on the contract start date and upon that reimbursement rate. We would receive that same reimbursement rate if we contract the services. The board did vote this morning. Our DSS board did vote this morning in their meeting. The vote was 4-1. The board does make the recommendation to the county commissioners to move forward with contracting with the top-ranked bidder or ranked company, Veritas, and that would also include eliminating several DSS positions. There would be 10 positions in the child support program that would be eliminated, 8 child support agents, 1 child support supervisor, and 1 processing assistant. The suggested motion is to accept the DSS board's recommendation to outsource child support services and authorize the county manager to move forward and take all actions necessary to complete the transition, to enter into a contract with Veritas HHS, and authorize the county manager to execute the contract on behalf of the board, subject to review and or revision by the county attorney, to eliminate the affected child support positions, which will be 8 child support agents, 1 supervisor, and 1 processing assistant, to be effective as established in the contract, and to appropriate up to $35,000 of general fund balance. Are there any questions?
All right, gentlemen, you heard Kathy's presentation. Questions, comments?
Kathy, on the one person that didn't vote for that, was there multiple reasons why that person didn't vote for that, or just maybe one reason or one item?
She shared with us that she understood the business reason behind the recommendation. She is a social worker and has been for many years. And so she said that her social worker heart wouldn't let her vote. She also, she was a social worker in mental health for many years and saw the privatizing of mental health and did not believe that that went very well, and had, concerns with that whole process. And so those were the reasons she gave for not voting in favor.
Good, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of comments, not really questions, just some observations. Chairman allowed me to take this home and look at it, and I did look at it. And quite honestly, Mr. Chairman, it's a little embarrassing for the position that Burke County is in. On page 409, and this is in the information, Burke County was dead last in every category. Now, we're number 100 out of 100 counties, and we've been going downhill for 4 or 5 years, but these kind of things is what made the county decide to look at outsourcing and see what it would bring to us. Also, in several of the different ones you have that we looked at, that you looked at, in several cases, 50% of the cases and examples they used, all of them, the outsourcing was doing about 2 to 1 of what Burke County was as far as results in the figures. The one thing that I did want to get some clarity on is in the cost per year. I am assuming the county has to put that money up, or do they get that as the providers do their job and collect the money for due cause? Who pays that bill to begin with?
The county does pay the bill to begin with, and then we submit that for reimbursement, just as we do now. Like, we pay our expenses and then submit them to the state for reimbursement.
We come up with 100% of the dollars, and we get 66% back, but it comes to Burke County and not to the source we're sourcing out to.
Yes, sir.
So we would get that back. Okay. Johnny, I wanted to, just for the benefit, if I can put my hands on it. Here it is. I wanted to quote just a few things off of this, of the compliments that they're saying about this new voting system. Well, that's not this, excuse me. I did want to ask the question, start up within a week. One of them said they'd start up within a week. And I think you said y'all voted on Veritas?
Veritas, correct, sir.
What?
Veritas.
Okay. And they'll start, and they can be complete and ready to go within 2 months. I believe that's the one that said 2 months. Yeah, Veritas, yeah. I mispronounced it, I'm sorry. They said they could start up within 2 months of the date that we signed the contract. So I think that's an efficient startup and time to plan. I just think a lot of the things that I read in the presentations, and there was a lot of pages, 600, I believe. So, but I enjoyed looking at it. But I see it as a good move for Burke County, and hopefully that we can turn things around for that, because there's so many people out there that, and I've got kin folks that's in that bracket that they never get the support that they were supposed to get. So a lot of single moms out there doing that hard work and raising their children on their own. So I look forward to making the move. Thank you.
Gentlemen, if I may just make one more comment. I just wanted to speak a little bit to our current staff, especially those who are here. And I want you to know that it was an agonizing decision to make that recommendation because of our staff, because they have worked so hard and have been under a lot of, they've had a lot of barriers to overcome. But in the past 2 years, absolutely, they've made improvements. And so it was not an easy decision. Whenever you're talking about eliminating positions, especially like those people, they're people I know, and I've come to know even more in my role as interim director, and it was not an easy recommendation. However, we also have 4,000 cases, and each one of those cases represents a child or a mom or a dad or a grandmother who's a citizen of Burke County. And so, you know, I had to take those people into consideration as well. But I do appreciate our staff, and we are going to work very hard to help them during this transition if the commissioners vote to move forward. We've talked with HR already about looking at how we can support them and how we may be able to move them into other county positions if that's what they want to do. Veritas has, in their proposal, been very clear that they want to speak with our current staff and talk to them about being employed with Veritas. So it definitely was not an easy decision, and I did want to just make sure the commissioners were aware that our staff has worked very hard. Unfortunately, you know, I do think that unfortunately for the position we're in, as you said, we're 100th in the whole state, 100 out of 100, and so we have to do something different. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, at the pre-agenda, I asked the question, what do we lose if we source this out? And that's one of the things that we discussed a little bit, if you recall. And what I was going to say, Mr. Chairman, maybe maybe we can help those out by posting their names or posting the positions or whatever, that maybe there's a place for them just next door. You don't know till you ask, but we certainly feel the pain with you. We know that anytime there's a major change in it, especially when you source something out, somebody's not going to have a job. And so we tell them, you can tell them on my behalf that I appreciate it, and that if they'll let me know what positions they're looking for, if I can help them, I'll help them find a job. Thank you.
Kathy, I want to go back to the infamous memorandum of understanding that the county had to sign against its will, and I know we haven't met those metrics. Will we be able to meet those metrics as we outsource?
That is what our expectation is of the company that we contract with. Their proposal spells out how they will meet those expectations and performance measures, and if they don't meet those performance measures, then that would be not meeting the terms of their contract, so we would have to decide how to proceed at that point.
So you're telling me there is an out if the performance is not what it is supposed to be by a contractual agreement?
That is my understanding, correct, yes.
How many other counties do you know that have moved to outsourcing?
There is more than 20 currently in the state.
Is this a trend for the remainder of the counties?
I believe some counties are definitely moving in this direction. Other counties make the decision that it is not what's in their county's best interest.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I guess JRS looked over all this, and there is an out if it doesn't, if the performance isn't there. Right, we do have an out. I mean, an easy out or.
Well, that would be part of the contract that the county manager and I will be.
All right.
All right, gentlemen, any other questions or comments? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion that we do source the DSS, outsource child support services, and authorize the county manager to move forward and take all action necessary to complete the transaction, to enter into a contract with Veritas, am I pronouncing that correctly? Veritas, HHS, and authorize the CM to execute the contract on behalf of the board, subject to review and/or revision by the county attorney, to eliminate the effective child support position, child support agents 8, child support supervisor, and processing assistant, effective as established in the contract, and to appropriate $35,000 of general fund balance.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard Commissioner Taylor's motion. All in favor signify by raising of the right hand. All opposed? Madam Clerk, that'll be 3-0. Thank you, Kathy. Moving on to item number 2, and items for decision will be from the, approval of funding of the new voting machines presented by Debbie Mace, our Director of the Board of Elections, along with Mr. Kirksey. Please come forward.
Thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I think Mr. Kirksey here would like to speak to y'all briefly, if they may.
Good evening. 2 weeks ago, when we arrived for the pre-agenda meeting, I was handed paperwork that showed that the purchase proposal quote was $606,551.19. After we finished talking in this chamber, we went outside and I asked Director Mace, confirm this quote. because I was pleasantly surprised. It was way under the 800,000 that we were led to believe this equipment was going to cost us. Well, it turned out, if you'll look at what we've got now, the very bottom line, this annual software license and maintenance and support fees was not on what they emailed to us. And in her following my request, we found out that it was not there, and now we're looking at $615,766.19. So, again, I'm still pleasantly surprised that it's not the 800,000 we thought we were going to have to spend. But it was, I guess, with email, you have things that sometimes don't seem to go through and come out, but that's the reason why we're asking for $9,215 more than we thought we were going to have or presented at the pre-consent agenda.
I had talked with ES&S about this. They apologized greatly for leaving that off the bottom. That is the same thing that we're currently paying, the same type of fees that we currently pay on voting equipment that we have now. If you'll notice on the second page, the total post-warranty license and maintenance fees, y'all probably remember for the past, I don't know how many years, we've paid $47,000 plus for maintenance on the current equipment. And if you'll notice, it's $30,740 here. The reason being, it's a whole lot less machines. We get a lot more done with less machines with this new equipment. It's win-win situation. It really is. And those fees are something that we can't do anything about. I mean, that is programming charges, that is licenses and maintenance and support fees. And they currently are on the equipment we have now. But it's a whole lot less, like I said, because we have less pieces of equipment to put that maintenance fees on. They assured me again yesterday. Last night, we worked through the night. The lady was actually in this county, in our department, working with us last night till 3 this morning. And we discussed this, and I said, I need to know if there's any surprises, if there's any secrets, if there's anything going to pop out at me, you need to tell me now. And she said there will absolutely be no additional charges beyond this. This is an actual, she called it a purchase proposed quote, but it is, you're not going to get any closer, and it will not be any more. She said the only thing that may change is the shipping. On the third page, it's $14,000. She said they did estimate high there because shipping rates are out of their control. But she said, I can promise you that they promised her it would be no more than that, but most likely between $1,500 and $2,000 less. Now that was quote from her last night. She's one of the programmers. So it looks like $766.19 is the actual cost. No more. You can do half of that on the way they've set it up for us if you're interested. Half of it in December, the other half not until July of 2020, which would give us another budget year to split the cost. Does anybody have any questions that I can?
Okay, gentlemen, you've heard the presentation by Debbie and LH. Any questions for either one?
The total, again, is $606,551.19.
Oh, the actual cost is $615,766.19. The figure you had was before this latest quote that was given to you on 10/15. $615,766.19. And that's due to these support and software license and maintenance fees. They did adjust a few little piddly things that total $410 among a lot of the equipment. They got actual paperwork to make their quote from, not just an estimation. This is not an estimation. I think this equipment from this company, 97% of the state went with this vendor. So I think that speaks volume.
Mr. Chairman, just a couple of comments in your stuff that just kind of jumped off the page to me, and I think that for the benefit of our citizenry of Burke County, they certainly don't have to be afraid of this new voting machine. And just to share a couple of quotes out of this, way easy. The poll workers love the easy setup. It is just so simple. So much less to worry about and less upkeep. Everything is a lot simpler for us on the back end. This one especially stuck out. I just had the most wonderful experience. I am totally blind, and I voted myself. I was in tears by the time I left the polling station. For the first time in years, I voted without assistance. And I think those kind of things that just, I think I had, it's absolutely so easy, absolutely love it. It's easy to use, very responsive, and I also think it's very inclusive. I've been voting since I was 18, using a wheelchair for the past 8 years. All the little things that they have taken into consideration with this machine are going to make people with disabilities want to come out and vote. Now, I thought that was kind of, and there's a couple of more in here, well, there's a lot in there, but those are the ones that kind of stood out, and I thought kind of endorses the machines in a very positive way for the citizens of Burke County.
In 14 years, it has come a long way.
Yes,
The machines we have now, there's no, I can't say anything negative about them. At the time, they were the best machines. I came in on the tail end of that, but they were the best ones at the time. Still the same vendor, 14 years later, and technology has come so far, and it's even more trustworthy. It's even more user-friendly than what we have now. I've been told a kindergartner, and I've watched it, and it is true, a kindergartner could walk up and vote.
Debbie, I think Ruth Ann and I were right when we said we were against those machines years and years and years ago.
Yes, sir, I remember.
One thing I want to ask, it's just point of contention, on the suggested motion, do we need to put in there that half of it's going to come out of fund balance this year and half next year, or is that just, we don't need to do that? We're all right, just, no.
It'll be more of a headache for us to have to split it than if we just go ahead.
Any other questions or comments? All right, this time we'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would make one more comment.
Sure.
I talked to Hugh Blackwell just a little bit about these machines, and then I did kind of request that he talk to a few of his buddies and see if they wouldn't come up with a formula to pay for half of this for all the counties. So I don't know what would come for that, but I just wanted to make you aware of that at the Reagan Day dinner, he and I talked a little bit. So don't know, but we're trying. Be nice if it did.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor, for doing that, but I will not hold my breath.
Yeah.
One other comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
When I asked Director Mace to get us a firm quote, well, it came back that on that first page, that 80,000 in the trade-in, what was it? They came back at 56,000. Is that
It's
what
50 something, I don't remember exactly, and I wouldn't even
but she held their feet to the fire.
I said, whoa, no, 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 no. I said, I want the 80,000 back. And we got it. Which they're trying to sell their equipment, I understand that. But we could just have easily, y'all could just have easily have said, you know, but we got the money that I had asked for.
All righty. Any other comments? All right, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, motion to accept the Board of Elections recommendation on the voting equipment and appropriate up to $615,761 general fund balance for the purchase of the voting equipment, DS 200, and express vote by ES and SP print electing supplies.
Let the record reflect that Wayne said 767 instead of 761.
761, I'm sorry.
767. All right. You heard Wayne's motion. All in favor signify by raising the right hand. Okay, Madam Clerk, that will be 3-0. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Moving on to item number 3 is approval of a settlement between Burke County versus Paget, and that will be presented by J.R. Simpson, County Attorney. J.R.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On October 2nd, we had a mediation in a case called Burke County versus James Dean Paget. We had filed this suit back at the end of 2017, and Mr. Paget operates a junkyard on Spainhour Road, which is zoned for 4 junkyards, but he also had 3 other pieces of property that he was putting junk and cars on. His fence was falling down around his junkyard, so we filed a suit charging him with violation of our zoning ordinances, our environmental ordinances, and as operating as a public nuisance. And we had a trial date of the end of next month and had our mediation. Our chairman and Bradley Kirkley and I were there for that, and we got everything that a court verdict could give us. He agreed to all our demands, but we did give him a little bit of time to get that accomplished, up to 90 days in some instances and 120 in the other. If he doesn't do it within that time, he will be held in contempt of court. So we bring that before you tonight, asking that the Board of Commissioners ratify our memorandum of settlement. Then I'll draw up the court order and judgment, and this case will be over.
All right, do you have any questions for the county attorney? All right, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion. I'll make that motion to ratify the memorandum of settlement, Burke versus Paget, 17 CVS 1335 as presented. All in favor signify by raising of the right hand. That would be 3-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Mr. County Attorney.
Yes.
Moving on to our next decision item, Western Piedmont Community College will be Project 2516, New Trades Building. That will be presented by Sandy Holman, Western Piedmont Community College Chief Financial Officer. Ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to come here tonight. The 3-1 form that you have in your packet is a form that we send to the North Carolina Community College system for state board approval for any new construction or renovation. The county commissioners are asked to approve the form if the new space involved will be because the responsibility of the county is for plant maintenance and operation if it's a new space. The college has a need for a new instructional and lab space for the building construction programs encompassing all trades in both curriculum and non-curriculum formats. What you see here is only a preliminary budget based upon what our needs are and could be changed as we move forward into obtaining the additional funding and also the scope of work that's going to be needed. The existing facility that we have is inadequate for our planned growth in terms of available space, configuration, access, accessibility, utilities, and technology. They are currently utilizing space in some older barns that were built like in 1942 that are on the Broughton land that was donated to the college many years ago. We need approximately 42,500 square feet of instructional space. This can be conditioned or a combination of conditioned and open space to deliver these programs. We're projecting an increased demand for training in the following construction trades: residential and commercial general construction, electricians, HVAC, plumbers, concrete and foundation, heavy equipment, and site preparation from grading, excavation to final landscaping. Another example of the need that we currently face in the state: the average age of licensed electricians in North Carolina is 58, and currently there are only less than 100 licensed electricians under 35 years of age. So there is a demand for all of these trades in our community. To respond to this growth, we plan to expand our offering of specialty short-term training programs by more than 100%. It is also our intention that this be more of a regional training center as we move forward and support those traditional curriculum programs that are 2-year degrees, and also non-curriculum, which could be short-term workforce development, 10 weeks up to 16 weeks. The figure that you have there is $6 million for a cost, which is $152 per square feet. It includes site preparation, designer, and other items required by state construction, along with increased technology, classroom space, and total conditioned space as of now. But again, that scope can be changed based upon the funding as we receive that. The section that we're asking you to consider tonight is the estimated operating utility annual cost on page 7. This is an estimate of cost for the first 5 years of operation of this building. I calculated the utilities, maintenance, plant operations, security on the full anticipated footage based on what we currently pay for the K building, which is next door to where we anticipate this building being constructed. In summary, we estimate to an increase of our budget of approximately $25,408 annually once the building is complete and during the first 5 years. Tonight, we're asking for your approval to support these additional costs when and if that building is completed. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, gentlemen, you heard Sandy's presentation. Questions or comments?
I just want to make a comment to Dr. Helmut. He probably remembers back years and years ago, I was on the vocational council, which was disbanded, appointed by the governor. And vocational education was, at that time, was a dirty word. And now how it's coming around again, and it's the in thing now for vocational education. And a lot of that is due with retirements and people aging out of the workforce. But it's amazing how things keep coming around back and forth. And I know you remember that back years ago. And that was just vocational education was just a really dirty word. Everybody was supposed to be a lawyer, doctor, or whatever, you know, but not in the trades.
Mr. Chairman, a couple of comments. Number one, I'm just kind of tickled pink that we are embracing this building to train and educate people. Maybe it doesn't need a 4-year college. And I have shared with several people that I have kinfolks who mechanic and one who paints, and he started by working at high school and then going to technical community colleges. And I have one that's a mechanic. He is now being paid $22 an hour. Mechanics are making good money. Electricians are making good money. Plumbers are making good money. And this is all the things that this building is going to help us to train people who doesn't necessarily want or look for a 4-year degree or to be a doctor or a scientist or some of those other things that takes several more years of education. I think it'll be a great asset to Burke County and schools, and I am sure you're going to reach students beyond the Burke County line. So I think it's an awfully good move. I did have a question of concern, and that question was that you have a design fee for $476,000. Is that not a little high for a design fee?
It does sound high. I go by what the State Construction Office estimates for design fees, and that's where that number came from based upon the total amount that we're looking at. Of course, if the scope of work is reduced, that design fee should be reduced as well.
Is that also, excuse me, let me turn me on. Does that also include the architect with that designer fee?
That is the design/architectural fee. They would do the design work, submit the design to State Construction Office, the schematic designs, and also the construction documents before bidding, and they would administer the contract throughout the project as well.
Let's tell him that we're gonna put a how to be a designer in the new building, and I'll attend. Thank you.
Welcome.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to authorize the county manager to execute Form 3-1 on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners as presented.
All right, gentlemen, you heard Commissioner Tutter's motion. All in favor, signify by raising of the right hand. That'd be 3-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you so much,
Thank
Sandy,
you.
Dr. Hellman. All right, moving on, item number 5 will be presentation of a new grant program called Harbor Lead, and that will be, or Harbor Led, and that will be presented by Lisa Moore, Public Health Educator. Lisa.
Hello, good evening all, and I'm going to bring up the rear for the evening. So I am here to give you some information on new grant funding that is coming to Burke County, has been awarded through Department of Justice for locally driven response to the opioid epidemic grant. We submitted for Harbor Lead. It's a project proposal for 2 different pieces of funding. It will be for $600,000 in funding for 36 months. Harbor stands for Helping Achieve Recovery Through Burke Opioid Use Reduction, and LEAD is, of course, the Law Enforcement Assisted Diversion Program. These pieces will come together, and it will fund not only just for our justice-only people that are in substance use, but it will also be for those within the community who are needing some treatment for substance use. It will provide funding for 3 years to continue the LEAD program and add the Harbor program to it with integral community partners. LEAD is the voluntary pre-booking diversion program developed to help low-level offenders whose behaviors are directly linked to substance use be directed to community-based treatment instead of a charge and into our legal system. The Harbor program is going to offer a daily schedule of treatment and recovery services with medical interventions. This weekly program is going to provide co-ed and gender-specific group sessions along with individual training time, vocational training, and guest speakers from partner agencies. The program is going to be facilitated through Burke United Christian Ministries with a social worker and the LEAD coordinator. They're going to work together to determine what resources each client is going to need in order to successfully adhere to their schedule, including but not limited to housing, employment, vocational skills, etc. The Harbor Lead project is going to have positive impacts with reduction to cost to the community by diverting individuals from the judicial system to community-based treatment, securing appropriate referrals to social services and medical systems through intensive case management, mitigating harm reduction through strategies to reduce overdose deaths, spread of communicable diseases, and then the opportunity to reduce the incidence of property crime within Burke County. So this grant award adds to the approximately $1.7 million in grant funds that a core group has secured over the last 18 months. So I'm asking that the board accept these federal grant dollars and give the county manager permission to sign any contracts for this grant over the dollar amount of $90,000. I'll entertain any questions, comments.
All right, gentlemen, you've heard the presentation by Lisa. Any questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I do not have a question of Lisa. The information was pretty thorough, but I do have one for council, and it's more of a reminder than a question. There must be about 25 pages of your contract that has special conditions at the top of it. my request is that you take a second look at that. There's some questionable things to me that, on a couple items, but just as long as we make sure we're not stringing ourselves out. But congratulations on the grant. It's a nice grant, $600,000, $200 a year for 3 years. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none, we'll entertain a motion.
Chairman, to accept the grant funding in the amount of $600,000 from the Department of Justice. Further authorize the county manager to execute the grant agreement and sign any contracts related to this grant of $90,000 or greater on behalf of the board.
All right, gentlemen, you heard Commissioner Everly's motion. All in favor, signify by raising the right hands. Thank you so much. That'll be 3-0, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Lisa. All right, that removes us out of our decision items into our reports and comments. So let me start with the left tonight. Madam Clerk.
No comments for me, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, let's move to the county attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In the last month, a lot of my time has been consumed by the Paget matter. In addition to the mediation and settlement, we did have updating of discovery responses, interrogatory responses, requests for production of documents, all as a part of getting ready for trial. But now that it's settled, I will prepare the final judgment and order for the judge's signature. This ends our only current lawsuit except for our opioid lawsuit and except for tax foreclosures and tax appeals. So we're in a good place right now. One of the tax foreclosure suits that I'm still finishing up for the county is one called Burke County versus Tomlinson. That's the matter that the town of Conley Springs has been so interested in. We finally obtained judgment in that case back the 1st of this month, and we've set foreclosure sale for November 7th, so that should make them happy. We've completed the review and the negotiation of the contract with Kimley Horn and Associates. That was the group that the commissioners chose at the recommendation of Shane Prisby to provide roadway engineering service for the North Powerhouse Road and Cobb Avenue sections of the Fauna Flora Trail. So that is completed. We have completed documents for our local grant agreement for Synergy, our animal products company, on behalf of BDI and the county, and we are working on a security instrument for the state of North Carolina's building reuse grant that they have granted to Synergy. We have been working with Sheriff Wisnut in the preparation of a letter going out to all owners and operators of these sweepstakes gambling machines as part of the countywide crackdown on these machines, and been working with the city attorney from Morganton and the DA's office to put something together that will stand up, and very proud to be a part of that. We've also are working with the sheriff to complete a memorandum of agreement between the sheriff's office and Burke County Public Schools concerning the use and payment for school resource officers. That's one thing that the old contract had expired, and we're working on putting together a new one. We have also been involved in researching the legal aspects of possible sources of funding for the Burke Rescue Squadron, and we have we reviewed the contract and bid documents for the Fontaflora County Park restroom facility with BPM construction on the the firm that Shane Prisby recommended and the commissioners approved. So that's been our month for the last.
Thank you, sir. Wayne?
Okay.
Maynard? Mr.
Chairman, just a couple that I will add to my regular committee meetings. On 9/26, I attended the Burke County Cattlemen's meeting. On 10/10/19, attended Franklin Graham Decision America event at the Crawdad Stadium. On 10/11, attended the Reagan Dinner and Community House, and I have attended a couple ribbon cuttings, open house events that the chamber had requested that we attend. And that's it for me.
Thank you, sir. Gentlemen, we did receive a great letter from Michael Sprayberry, Director and Deputy Homeland Security Advisor for the North Carolina Emergency Management and NC Office of Recovery and Resiliency, thanking us for our participation during Hurricane Dorian. As you know, many of our folks left Burke County to go down there during that bad time with that hurricane. Mike Willis and Cruz went down there, talked to Frank Williams, who is chairman of the board in Brunswick County. Our folks stayed in Brunswick County a lot. They were very appreciative of what our teams had done, and our teams were recognized as to their efficiency and proficiency and excellence in what they did. And, you know, we've always been very proud of our emergency management folks. And so to live up to the North Carolina motto of one team, one mission, I think our folks have done that. I want to report that the Valdez Library is advancing at a good pace. I'm sure the county manager will let us know soon when we'll be able to have a grand opening for that. I just attended our NCACC Association of County Commissioners meeting in Wilmington for the last 3 days over the weekend. And I was very honored to ask to help facilitate a discussion session. We got probably the largest group of new commissioners on the executive board at NCACC than we've had in a number of years. So Commissioner Fred McClure from Davidson and Commissioner Viola Harris from Edgecombe County and myself were asked to facilitate a roundtable discussion with these new folks to orientate them to their new jobs. And again, I was very honored to do that. Also, Kevin Austin, president of the association, introduced his new initiative of working on disengaged youth. So there will be a very large committee. Some of you may be asked to be on that committee before it's over with. A growing problem in North Carolina. I think the trades, like you said, that might help if we can get some kids in school doing some things that they enjoy doing with their hands, maybe that'll help us out. So it's a great initiative on disengaged youth, and I was very proud to be part of that. All right, at this time I'm going to recognize the county manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, you may remember in your agenda packet seeing a letter from the LGC to the Tourism Development Authority regarding their audit. It had some pretty strong language in it as far as issues and problems that the LGC found with the way the TDA was doing things financially. As you know, the TDA is not a part of county government. It is its own authority with its own board, and that board hires and oversees the director. So if you have questions or asked why aren't you doing something about it, they're separate and apart from county government. We have no managerial authority over them. We'll be working with the county attorney to look into the enabling legislation and looking at some possibilities there as far as expressing our concern. As you may remember, the Burke County did offer to do their financials, and they decided to go another route last year. I do have some updated construction photos for you for some of our projects. This is the new signage out at the county jail there near the street on Government Drive. And this is the side of the actual building you see there. And this is the Sally Port being built on the back of the courthouse to receive the new bus, and so that they can offload and minimize the number of trips. And also have, that's the elevator shaft there. They topped out today for the elevator shaft, and that will be a secure elevator system to take them upstairs to the courtroom and not have them going through a stairwell like they are now, with the possibilities of interacting with either victims or other people of interest in some of these trials. But anyways, that's all the photos I have. I don't know if any of y'all feeling any kind of a strange feeling right now.
Let me show you the true face of Halloween. Trick or treat!
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
All I can say is, Kate, you dress up nicely. All right, Kate, at this time, if you'll go through the vacancy announcements.
Certainly. We have the following opportunities for citizens to participate in county boards and committees: the Hickory Regional Planning Commission, the Adult Care and Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, Council on Aging, Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, City of Morganton Board of Adjustment and Planning Board for the ETJ, the Voluntary Agriculture Board, the Burke County Board of Adjustment and Planning Board, the Western Piedmont Regional Transit Authority Transportation Advisory Board, Partners Behavioral Health Management, Burke Senior Center Advisory Council, and the Recreation Commission.
Thank you, Kate. I'll leave you with a couple comments. First of all, please remember, if you're watching YouTube, please have your pet spayed or neutered. Also, if you would, please pick up a piece of trash for me along the highways. I'll continue to get mine that you deposit daily for me. I do appreciate that, but I'll keep picking it up. Please continue to like us on Facebook. I'm going to recognize one more person. Miss Margaret Pierce is back with us tonight. None of us have seen her in a good while. I think the county is well aware that Margaret's husband has been in the hospital in Asheville for a number of weeks with a lot of problems. Margaret, our prayers are with you. They have been with you daily, and we just pray to God that your husband gets much better. If there's no need for a closed session tonight, so if there's no other business come before the board, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All in favor? That was all of us. Thank you so very much for attending.
Hello, I'm Brian Steen, the Burke County Manager, and I'd like to introduce you to Zeke, Ty, and Chloe. They're my 3 pets, and I adopted them all from rescue agencies. I hope if you're thinking about getting a dog or a cat, you'll consider contacting our local rescue agencies and adopt one. If you have a cat or a dog, I hope you'll also consider having them spay or neutered to help us reduce the number of unwanted pets in Burke County. Whatever you can do to help us would be appreciated, and in a moment we'll show you some contact information for both the rescue agencies in Burke County and agencies that can help you with low-cost spay and neuter. Thank you again. I hope you have a great day. Wolf.